Firearms! Terrifying in real life, universally badass in movies and games, so why do they suck in Dungeons & Dragons? Let's start with an internet-friendly list of the 3 reasons firearms are horrible in this game before talking about how to make blasting kobolds in the face as fun as it should be. Problem 1. Firearms almost don't exist. Straight up, most people don't realize that firearms exist in Dungeons & Dragons. They're in the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide. No core class or subclass makes any reference to them, and there are no monsters that use them either. There is no octopus with 8 Glocks, because that's just too cool. It's just too good for the game. The game would break. It's too awesome. Artificers do get a reference to firearms, but only as an optional rule. And you'd think this would be a bigger deal. There's a whole subset of weapons that nobody is using. Except, problem 2, guns are just reskinned bows. This is a real issue. If we're gonna make guns cool, they've got to feel like guns, not just reskinned bows. They have to have gun-specific mechanics. The musket in the PHB is basically just a heavy crossbow. Yes, the damage is a tiny bit higher and the range is a little bit smaller, but functionally it's another bow. Of course, there are some guns which are different from bows, but those are a different problem because problem 3, firearms are busted. As anyone who's been shot will tell you, guns are pretty overpowered IRL. The DMG reflects this by including modern weapons like the hunting rifle, which deals 2d10 damage per hit. That's twice as good as a heavy crossbow, and then you get futuristic weapons which are just ridiculous. The antimatter rifle is dealing 6d8 damage per shot. That is a fireball's worth of damage per attack. Obviously, if you want a balanced game, you just can't use these type of guns. Although talk about a hell of a way to solve the martial spellcaster power divide. So if guns are almost totally ignored from the game, and when they show up they're either overpowered or just another type of bow, can we save them? Can firearms have their own identity without being broken? Well, Matt Mercer says hell yeah, and so does Loot Tavern, and it is not a coincidence that they both fix firearms in the same way, by focusing on the player character, not the actual guns. Follow me, kids, as we look at making actually badass characters and incorporating gunslinging into your games. Let's start with my current favorite solution, the Gunner class from Zaman's Guide to the End of Time. This is a D&D expansion which is out now on Kickstarter, but the Gunner class that we're going to talk about is free to download and playtest from the Kickstarter page, link below. The Gunner is a full martial class. Your hit dice is 1d8 and you got proficiency in light armor, martial ranged weapons, and charisma and dexterity saving throws. The core feature you get at first level is called Moxie. It's a resource, like key points, which you can spend to do badass gunslinger stuff. It's also a flexible resource. This is not like spell slots or rage, which you use and then regain on a long rest. You can pick up more Moxie as you battle in combat. You gain a point of Moxie anytime you score a critical hit, you reduce an enemy to 0 hit points, or you get a natural 20 on a saving throw imposed by an enemy. Every Gunner subclass also has its own kind of mini game, which rewards you by giving you Moxie points, but we'll talk about subclasses later. You start combat without any Moxie points, so the Gunner is possibly the only D&D class that gets more powerful across a combat encounter. You have this mounting sense of dread and inevitability. I really like that. Moxie points can be spent to do stuff like reroll a failed ability check, make an opportunity attack with your gun, reload a gun without expending an action, or gain temporary hit points. It also interacts with your subclass features. Second level, you get Bullet Time, which is basically what it sounds like, a moment of total awareness which gives you advantage on all attacks for a turn and gives attacks disadvantage against you for a round. It's very cool, it's very Quicksilver adjacent. The more transformative feature is Firearm Attachments. As a gunner, you can modify your gun. There are 5 types of attachments you can use: the barrel, melee, muzzle, sights, and miscellaneous. It's sort of like how Eldritch Invocations let you modify your Eldritch Blast. There's modifications to increase your gun's accuracy and range. You can add a bayonet to stab people in melee. There's a night vision scope that gives you dark vision as you look through it. Just tons of customization options. Level 3, you get your subclass feature like the Deadeye. This one gives you proficiency in stealth and perception perception, and you gain a point of moxie anytime you hit a creature on your turn without expending any movement. Essentially, this sets the Deadeye up as a sniper, night ambusher, assassin type of gunslinger. Also, anytime the Deadeye misses an attack with a firearm, you can spend 1 moxie point to take a special reaction to ricochet that bullet and potentially hit someone else. You can do cool stuff with this, like potentially shoot round corners if enemies are set up in the right configuration. It's very DC Comics Deadshot code. Extra attack at level 5 is obviously necessary for any martial class, and the gunner can replace 1 attack to reload a weapon if they want to. Level 6, you get Quick Draw, which lets you take a reaction when you roll initiative and you aren't surprised to make a ranged weapon attack with your gun. Essentially, you always shoot first. George Lucas is in shambles. Level 7 is your second Deadeye subclass feature, and you can now attach a second sight modification to your gun. In addition, the number you need to roll to score a critical hit with your firearms is reduced by 1 for each sight modification your gun has. So you can rock both night vision sights and telescopic sights to give yourself dark vision and ignore disadvantage from attacking at long range and score a critical hit on an 18, 19, or 20. Again, ultimate sniper, stealth, crit fishing, assassin vibes for the Deadeye subclass. Level 9, you get some new moxie features, which is nice because at this level you're getting pretty good at building it up in combat. Level 10, you get proficiency in con saves, which is good flavor for a sort of grizzled, badass, western style gunslinger, but also very powerful if you multiclass with a spellcaster, because this will protect your concentration checks. Level 11 gives you another subclass feature. In the Deadeye's case, it is 1 shot, 1 kill. You trade in the number of shots you can make per round of magazine for 1 big, high damaging shot instead. Level 13, you get the Adrenaline Rush reaction, which basically grants you a ton of moxie when you fall below half hit points once per long rest. Level 14 is pretty interesting. Double tap. You have the fastest hands in the multiverse. You can take 2 bonus actions per turn. A rogue dip with this can let you dash and hide every turn as a double cunning action. And there's probably some insane 2014 Berserker Barbarian build which lets you attack twice with your gun and then stab people with 2 melee attacks using your double bonus action. Level 14 is very late for multiclassing, but this feature is cool enough to seriously think about from a wacky builds perspective. Level 15 is a subclass feature, letting the Deadeye drop a bonus action to give themselves advantage on their next attack roll. Thanks to double tap, you can take this bonus action every turn while still doing something else. Again, I do think a rogue dip is going to be very powerful for high level gunners. Final subclass feature comes at level 18, and for the Deadeye, it lets you upgrade your ricochet feature to essentially ricochet bullets into multiple targets. Finally, level 20, all gunners get the ultimate weapon feature. You get access to 1 special modification for your gun from a few choices, and you can swap them around on a long rest. You can do stuff like swap the damage types your gun deals and gain resistance to that damage type, or gain true sight while looking through your gun's scope. Essentially, it's enhancements so powerful they're basically magical once you reach level 20. All in, the gunner class is a beautiful and deep fix to firearms in Dungeons & Dragons. It fixes guns by building a full class around them, which works because it gives you the design room to lean into all the badass stuff guns should be able to do. There's also custom bullets you can craft to give your ammunition unique properties, and they've added the loud property to guns as well, so there's genuine downsides to using guns over bows. Of course, there are also magic weapons that are firearms to push guns even further. They've really gone all the way in making firearms their own thing. But the gunner is also pretty complex as a full class, and no discussion of fixing guns in D&D would be complete without discussing possibly the most famous piece of third-party content for the game, Matt Mercer's Gunslinger Fighter subclass.
Stop! Don't eat that sandwich!
What?
I'm you from the future! You can't eat that sandwich! Give it to me! Quick!
What's wrong with it? Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted it.
You invented time travel just to steal my sandwich?
Okay, firstly, this was a great sandwich. I wanted it again. Secondly, I didn't invent time travel. I just used Zaman's Guide to the End of Time. Zaman's Guide is a 700 plus page time-traveling, gunslinging, scorpion riding expansion to D&D, a desert punk setting of cosmic species and epic subclasses that also features the incredible paradox time travel mechanics for your games. Meddle with the past and see consequences in your present as stories unfold across multiple eras. There's also new mechanics to streamline and enhance mounted combat in D&D, plus epic new mounts to use in-game. All new familiars, hundreds of new magic items, 20 plus new spells to bend space and time, and 8 incredible multi-level Monster Hunt adventures that you can run right out of the book as a campaign. Zaman's Guide is out now on Kickstarter, link in the description. Okay, so Matt Mercer's Gunslinger is a 2014 fighter subclass. We're in the world of heavy armor proficiency, action surge, and tons of attacks. This is a simpler approach to making firearms work, but it's really interesting how similar some of the solutions are between the gunner and the gunslinger to fixing those problems. In the same way the gunner hit that firearms fantasy with cool abilities that use moxie points, the gunslinger gives you trick shots which use grit. Trick shots are a lot like Battlemaster maneuvers. You can do stuff like disarm an enemy on a hit if they fail a saving throw, give yourself advantage on an attack roll, or push an enemy back when you hit them. Using a trick shot costs a resource called grit. You have a number of grit points equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain a point of grit anytime you score a critical hit or reduce an enemy to 0 hit points. But by far the most controversial part of Matt Mercer's Gunslinger is the introduction of the misfire property. The firearms you choose as part of this subclass have a misfire score of 1, 2, or 3. If your result on the d20 you roll when you make an attack roll is lower than your gun's misfire score, the attack automatically misses and your weapon jams. You then can't use the weapon again until you spend an action to attempt to repair it with a Tinker's Tools check. DC equals 8 plus the weapon's misfire score. If you fail that check, the weapon completely breaks and you have to fix it outside of combat. Some people just hate the fact that if you roll a 3 or below on an attack roll, your weapon breaks, and you have to spend an entire action just to attempt to fix it, and you waste that action if you then fail. Missing an attack already sucks, and giving up an action as a fighter means giving up like 3 or 4 attacks. This is brutal. The design intent is to balance the very high power of guns though, because the highest damaging firearms like the Bad News deal an incredible 2d12 per hit. That level of power can't be totally free. These are the weapons with the highest misfire chance. Still, a misfire of 3 means that every attack has a 15% chance of jamming your gun. A level 5 fighter who action surges to attack 4 times with the Bad News has a 47% chance of having their gun jam at some point on that turn. Basically, you just have to accept you're going to be losing a full action to misfires quite a lot with this subclass. However, there is a little reprieve provided at level 7 with the quick draw feature. You can add your proficiency bonus to your initiative rolls, and you can stow a firearm and draw another as part of the same object interaction. So if you misfire, you can just stow that weapon, draw another one, and keep blasting. Nobody expects the second Bad News. Level 15 gives you Lightning Reload, letting you reload any weapon as a bonus action. We haven't really spoken about reload, but it's just how many bullets you can fire from a chamber before you need to spend 1 attack to reload it. Using a bonus action instead of an attack to reload is okay, but it's pretty weak for a 15th level feature. Finally, at level 18, you score a critical hit on a 19 or a 20, and when you score a critical hit with a firearm, the target takes additional damage equal to half the damage of that crit at the end of their next turn. This is a very cool feature, although in practice it does translate to quite a bit of housekeeping on the GM's part to make sure they track all the damage. Still, I love the idea of critting a creature, dealing huge damage, it then takes its turn, and then immediately dies from the hemorrhaging damage of your shot. It gives me that Western style, you're dead and you don't even know it type of vibe. It's cool. Remember, crits already deal almost 2 times as much damage damage, and this is raising it to 3 times as much damage, and you crit twice as often. This is a good capstone feature. The Gunslinger is fun, if you can get over the misfire property and the fairly weak mid-game features. It's simple and easy to implement in a game, and the trick shots give you that angel eyes western fantasy. The Gunner, in my opinion, is better and deeper on account of it being a full class, so it has more room to explore more features. Modifying your weapons and building momentum across combat is awesome, but also more complex. This is probably the more experienced player's option, which rewards exploration. Matt Mercer's Gunslinger is free on D&D Beyond, and the Gunner class is free from the Zaman's Kickstarter page. I've linked both of them down below. Either way though, put guns in your games. Shooting goblins is fun. Also remember to like and subscribe. You can support the channel to get awesome homebrew content I've created on Patreon. Check out other videos on the channel. And yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you next time.